In my studies of huts built in this country, one thing that stood out as a uniquely Australian characteristic was the drop slab huts. The dropping of a timber into a groove in the posts to provide a wall. Problems to solve were largely due to moisture, termites, and to a lesser extent UV. So the granite saddle stones that we used to sit the structure on were a solution to those issues, and again available locally. So they offered a really, I guess, a simple but effective solution to giving this structure some longevity and durability. The post and beam structure was sourced or made out of sugar gum timbers that were sourced from a shelter belt in Carisbrook on the Williamson's farm at Lockymba. A really good stand of sugar gums that grew straight and clear and gave us a good resource to select the timbers we needed. Starting at the tree is a really nice thing to be able to do, and to have that circle, that from tree to finished product, whether that's a piece of furniture or a building. I can see the journey. I can see the tree, I can see cutting the tree, I can see sawmilling the tree and putting it together and standing something up. People might look at this and place it in time in terms of an era, like a last century or the century before, but the timeless things are the species that are around us. The timbers here are from trees that grow and should be grown around us, and also the human instinct of making things with our hands, with hand tools. That won't change. So whilst we're in an ever-changing world, those things I mentioned will always exist. I think there's sometimes that misnomer that, you know, technological advancement and modernism means things are better, but there was a lot of years before now where things were built a different way, and they're not obsolete. They weren't, you know, outcompeted by pine and nail guns. For other reasons, they're not being done anymore, but they're perfectly sound methods of building houses. Thinking locally is right for so many reasons. What do we have in our patch and how can we use it to build things, rather than being beholden to industry or relying on imported products or highly energy intensive products. If you understand a material intimately and understand the tools and the techniques and where that material comes from, coupled together, there's endless possibilities, endless inspiration and motivation to build beautiful things. When it came to the drop slab part, there was a need for obviously lots of large slab boards of timber, and in this situation we chose a messmate. We had the availability nearby in a little place called Mollingit on a property of one of the Ballarat Regional Treegrowers, Gib Wettenhall. That provided a good resource to chainsaw mill some slabs from. Splitting them was going to be a big exercise. Chainsaw milling was a practical solution, a modern solution to cutting a lot of slab timber reasonably quickly. So using an Alaskan chainsaw mill, we cut 2 large messmates and through and through milled them into slabs, and then I brought the slabs here to the workshop where I cut them straight and put a bevel on every edge to allow the moisture to slope outwards a bit like a windowsill. The black wattle, that was just fortuitous. The black wattle floor, Campbell Mercer of the Ballarat Regional Treegrowers had put a crop in as a nurse crop some years ago, not thinking that it would yield such beautiful timber, but it grew quickly and he pruned it well, and it yielded a lot of good 1 inch, 1.5 inch boards at about, I think it was about 10, 12 years of age, something like that, when it was removed. It had done its job as a nurse crop, removed and sawmilled, and then brought here to the workshop. I turned it into shiplap floorboards, exposing that really nice orangey red colour. The final sort of solution to the build was filling in walls, filling in cavities. We've got this sugar gum structure that holds itself up and holds a roof, but how do we fill in walls? And in the gable ends of this building we had some sections to fill, some voids to fill, and it occurred to me that wattle and daub might be a good solution. Wattle and daub being a European method that was adapted in this country, but actually going back further than that, the Indigenous Australians used methods of what I'd like to call just stick and mud. Literally that sticks and mud from whatever your local surroundings. So in this situation I've used wattle and some coffee bush saplings to weave a kind of structure, a sort of cross-hatch structure in these voids, and then into that I've thrown daub, which is clay, sand, kangaroo dung and a bit of dry grass, a mud mix with a bit of plasticity to it, and then push that into that woven cross-hatch structure, and then that'll get rendered and that provides a wall. For me, this opportunity and experience to build this hut has been a wonderful opportunity, not only as a maker, realise a design and realise a project, a piece of work, but also to learn a great deal throughout that process about my patch, about my local environment, the network, the human network within that, planting trees, using timber from those trees, planting biodiversity, explore some ideas and try some techniques.